I wanted to introduce Jem because he's the one that told me the truth. And it was, I think I witnessed one of the most courageous acts I've ever witnessed at any conference, ever, and could ever witness. It's so hard to be the bell ringer. That's what you all are. And that's what Jem is. In a most prolific way. Thank you, Jem. And I think that that's why we need each other. That's why we need to ask each other for help. That's why we lean in. That's what we activate in each other. And Jem has activated that in me and in so many thousands of people. So I introduce you to Professor Jem Bendell. Thank you, Jem.
Yes, Jem!
Thank you, Skeena. Wow, I'm glad to be here with you in Oxford Circus today, where we challenge the circus of lies that is our political system and most of the mainstream media. So yes, you heard I'm an academic, I'm a professor, and in my field we're meant to be discovering truths and sharing them. But what I discovered is to do that you have to be brave enough to let yourself see the truth for yourself. For 20 years I was slaving away working to try and make business and finance a little bit kinder to people and planet. And because I was doing that, I got somewhere in my career. And I've been invited to give talks around the world to audiences of businesses and banks, basically the same story being, well done, but let's try a little bit harder. A couple of years ago, I was invited to give a keynote talk at an event on climate and business, and I felt sick. I felt I can't go along and give another pep talk to say, let's just try a bit harder. I realized that we were failing and that the system that we're in is going to fail, and we can no longer continue talking about effectively tinkering around the edges. So I ditched my speech and I gave a talk where I said, it's too late to change this system. We have to be brave enough to admit to ourselves that we have to have a different kind of conversation about what to do next, even if it feels like we have no idea what that means. We have to be brave enough to start that conversation. So we've come out on the streets today to raise the alarm. We knew climate change was coming, but we didn't know how fast. 17 of the 18 warmest years in recorded history have occurred in the last 18. So the world is heating up much faster than we thought. We've woken up to a warm dawn in what is now a dangerously hot century. You all know that forests around the world are catching fire, harvests failing, animals and insects are dying in vast numbers, in ways that were never predicted by our experts. The energy trapped in our oceans today, because of the carbon in our atmosphere, is equivalent to about 6 atomic bombs going off every second. That is an amount of energy, warming and turbulence in our system that we cannot turn off. The media have been failing us. For example, when it was over 20 degrees in February here in London, on the BBC, the Daily Express, we were being told how happy we are, basking in the warmth. And the same journalists scoff at climate change when a blast of cold air descends upon us from the Arctic, when that's precisely because of the same climate breakdown. And of course, last year we saw how this chaotic weather now poses a threat to our own livelihoods. In the UK and many European countries, production of vegetables and grains fell by over about 20% because it was so hot and dry. Now imagine if that happens year upon year from now on globally, or even worse. So if the authorities think today is a bit of a headache, just imagine if we were all really hungry right now. In the last few years, we have seen more and more reports from some of the world's most credible organizations about how bad things are. Just last month, the UN's Weather Organization confirmed that global sea level rise is increasing, so it's getting faster, non-linear change. Now what that means is that the whole system, the whole climate system, is now heating up at an ever-increasing rate. So the Earth is heating itself because of what we have begun. So the truth for me is, I'm sorry, but the future of our climate is not now under our control. So what do we do? Go home? No. We gather and rebel not with a vision of a fairy tale future where we fix the climate, but because it's right to do what we can, it's right to try and reduce harm, it's right to try and save what we can, and it's right to try and live the way we believe in. To try and come back to sanity and love. Because the truth is we're scared, but we're brave enough to say so. The truth is we're grieving, but we're proud enough to say so. The truth is we're traumatized, but we're open enough to say so. We are angry, but we are calm enough to gather and to call others to join us. And yes, we may be uncertain, but we are smart enough to say so too. So we're here to demand that the government wake up to the truth for themselves and then start a real dialogue on what it is we must do now. But what's the government done? Has it even started to warn us? When the IPCC said that we have to be cutting emissions right now like never before for the next 12 years, even to have a chance of avoiding catastrophe, what did they say? The government didn't say, let's build seed banks and greenhouses and irrigated potato farms if the world starts exporting food to us. They didn't say how we need to think about boosting food security in this crisis. No, they said we're doing okay with reducing emissions, so let's frack gas and open coal mines. So given what we know about the climate, we know the government is lying to us that the future of our food supply is nothing for us to worry about. We know they're lying to us when they say our pensions are going to be worth anything in 20 years. They're lying to us when they say that the economy is somehow stronger than in 2007. And they're lying to us when they're saying our children should go back to study at school in some kind of global economy that I think is deeply in threat now. So maybe they're lying to themselves, but we're here to wake them up. Since Al Gore's film in 2006, we've all been told to do our bit. I can switch off a light, but I can't switch off consumer society and a debt-based economy that requires us to keep eating up the planet just to service our debts to the bank. Our climate crisis was always a political challenge, and this movement, the Extinction Rebellion, is now making that known. It has started very slowly to work. The media may have ignored it, but last month, the Labour Party in the UK, in Parliament, declared a climate emergency. But looking at their policies, they're going to have to go way, way further. Meanwhile, the government still sees climate change as a bit of a hindrance to future economic growth. They seem to believe the belly of Mother Earth is just there to be gouging out more fossil fuels to just keep business as usual going. Nothing seems to shake this belief. And so it's why our peaceful disobedience will be needed to force their attention. And if and when the politicians do all come on board, then the necessary changes won't just happen magically, because they have absolutely no track record in even considering the kind of systemic changes that are needed right now. Because it means taking on the financial system. So we're going to need to rebelling peacefully again and again and again. So I say today is the start of a broader rebellion against business as usual. Taking inspiration from today, we need to stretch the rebellion into all our lives and into our workplaces. That doesn't mean simply to disrupt, but it means to risk really awkward conversations with our colleagues, to challenge decisions which are not helping us to prepare for the difficulties ahead. Because the changes in future are going to affect every one of us in every community and in every workplace. So today looks beautiful, and it will be beautiful, as will this week. But it's also going to be stressful at times. So I want to address our fellow humans here today, and across London, and around the world, who have a job in the police. This week, and as the rebellion unfolds, which it will do, we're going to have the honor of seeing mothers and grandmothers put their bodies on the line in defense of life itself. So to our wonderful friendly policemen here today, that's in defense of your children. So I see the mothers and grandmothers risking arrest today as our elders. They're here for me, they're here for you, they're here for all of us. So to our police today, across London, across the world, and in future, I say, if you ever have an order to lay your hand on a mother or grandmother defending life itself, it's not just your training, it's not just following orders, that's your conscious decision to participate in this moment in a form of oppression of women and women's wisdom that stretches back thousands of years and is at the root of our crisis. All of us can remove ourselves from this chain of destruction, whether we have a job in the police or not. We can all refrain from uninvited touch. So to the police, I ask you, look inside as we all do and listen to the loving voice of nature in your hearts and hear her say, "Our Mother Earth says me too." Our Mother Earth says me too. Our Mother Earth says me too. I'd like to share a poem that speaks to this. It's not a famous old one, but one written by a friend. I think it reflects how we are writing our own history now. It's called Galvanize, and it's by Tony Spencer.
Yes, Tony!
The time has come to galvanize those heaving sighs from fraught days and spiritual malaise, from miles and miles spent in supermarket aisles, overwhelmed by choices to the point where we lose our voices and so silently we lose our ties to life. Oh, my loves, what magic we could make if we galvanized, realized beyond fantasized futures the power of our presence. Yes, the time has come to get together, to claim the prize of a collective awakening, get off our arses, realize our vastness and put it to work, stopping the shopping and stepping out into the streets, shop fronts, fields, boardrooms, classrooms, living rooms. It's time to alchemize a fullness of voice, a radical choice, to speak up for what we know to be true. We will not accept this mass extinction quietly. We will not accept the threat of our own extinction quietly. We may not succeed in shaping the future, but we can succeed in living our truth today. Living it louder, living it prouder, and living it together. Thank you.